It was a tug of war, 3 gunmen and Teddy Brown. I saw the gun in my head about from 5 feet. Put the gun in my hip and fired. I collapsed because of loss of blood.
Shot, severely injured and left for dead.
And the 3rd gunman fired again, and that shot went through.
Your shoulder.
Went through my shoulder.
Kenneth Brown shares his heartbreaking story of the reality many businessmen face in Jamaica today, as we take a look at the man behind Herald Printers. And after this, our main feature, we have some of the most profound business tips from execs across the island. Here now on Wealth Magazine's Business Access. Welcome to Wealth Magazine's Business Access. I'm Naomi Cohen, and as our country is celebrating its 50th year of independence, we have many companies that are celebrating a lot more than 50. Today I have the chairman of the Herald Printery with me, Mr. Kenneth Teddy Brown, as they like to call you, and you're celebrating 90 years in the making.
Absolutely. I'm honored to be on your show. Very honored.
I'm honored to have you.
Thank you.
And in 1979, you acquired this company from the Richards family.
Absolutely.
But before you got involved in the Herald Printery and the hustle and bustle of East Street, downtown Kingston, tell me about the young Teddy Brown.
Oh, well, I'm just a typical Jamaican youth. Grew up in Crossroads area. Luckily, my grandmother had a house, 4 bedrooms, and 2 sisters, my mother and her sister, occupied these premises. So we had 9 kids growing up. We had a very eventful and comfortable life. It was the old Jamaica then, run the wheels around Orange Street, racing on the road, walking over by what they call Heroes Park. Now was race course. We would have fun there. That was our park, our place of pleasure. I would think we were controlled in morality, honesty, decency, certain attributes and aspects of the old colonial. I remember walking on Orange Street once and one of the post-colonial residents, grandfather we called him, and I had my hand in my pocket and I went around the corner. And he saw me. He said, "Teddy, come here, son." And he proceeded to tell me he's going to tell my mom. And he told my mom, and I got a spanking for it.
Having your hand
How
in your
in
pocket.
my pocket, and maybe I think I was whistling.
Oh my goodness.
That's the degree of discipline that we were exposed to.
So old time Jamaica was nice.
Old time Jamaica was nice.
And you experienced independence.
Yes, we
Jamaica
did.
50. What was that moment like?
Oh man, I'm telling you. I was a young, teenager then. I didn't fully understand what independence meant. I mean, the responsibilities that came with it. But I do know that we were happy to be not to operate under the colonial regulation. I think the freedom and the acceptance of Jamaica being responsible for our own destiny was good. But we had a little disappointments coming along. Most of it was caused by us, the indiscipline that overtook us and the anxiety. But I believe if we pursue what we are trying to teach and tell our kids about independence in the true sense, hard work, honesty, it will eventually work out. There's hope. After I left school, I was a little confused. What do I want to do? I love being a doctor. I would love to say if somebody gets sick to say, hey, I'm going to be a doctor to heal that person or help that person get well. It didn't work out because of financial constraints. Other things happened, but I remember classically one day, a friend came to my house and he said, Aunt Gita, that's my mom, a friend of mine needs somebody to work, and it's a printery. Times Printery, I remember him saying that. I said, Times Printery, I don't want to be no tradesman. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a doctor or a businessman. Eventually, my mother influenced me to attend the interview. And I went to the interview, and strangely enough, I was interviewed by one Mr. V.G. Rose, the sales manager, and he was impressed. He took me in the factory and I saw these machines running, paper spinning around and imprints and impressions. And I was awed. I never knew these things existed. I said, I have to go back to this place. He asked me when I can start. I said, okay, I'll come out the next week, which I did.
And this was your first job?
First job. Strangely enough, printing fell in love with me. I worked with the Jamaica Times for about 12 years.
In sales, and
in sales,
you moved up?
And did very well, yes. I was the assistant sales manager. Mr. Rose was now sales director. And one September, I said, I'm not coming back, I'm leaving the end of the year. I want to start a little business. And Mr. Rose encouraged me, and he supported me financially. And I bought a machine, and I rented this annex, something like a garage. Put a machine around there and I started. And Business Printers Limited was born. And I ran that for 3 years. And one morning I got up and I saw an ad in the paper, the Herald Printery advertising machine, that if I got that machine home, and that would be the beginning of great things. I went to look at the machine, and after 2 visits, Mr. Richards, Bal Richards, he called me aside. He said, young man, why don't you take over the business?
Really?
I said, Mr. Richards, I'm hardly getting the money for the machine from the bank. I'm a non-entity, I'm a nobody in the sense of finance. And he said, I'll work something out. And he did.
No, so you literally, after 15 years of being in the industry,
yes,
your dream came true, it was handed to you?
Absolutely.
Why do you think he saw something in you to the point where he would offer his business to you?
I've asked him that question so many times, and he is reluctant to tell me, thinking I might get swell-headed. But I got a company that was well established. It was number 2 in the Caribbean. I was non-stop. I would get up at 5 in the mornings, reach work at 6:30, and I'd work until 10. I mean, whatever there was to be done, I would get it done. I would see that the production was met and the promises were honored, because I'm a customer-oriented person. I honestly feel that the customer comes first, and they deserve the best.
Hello, welcome, Wealth Magazine.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Herald Printers is proud to have you. Please come right in. This is our plate processing department, which is another part of our pre-press operations. After the jobs are proofed digitally and the customers sign off, then the file is sent across to this department where it's ripped to our image setter, and it images each pixel and each dot on the template. So after this process is sent downstairs and then it hits the presses. So offset print department, all of the presses that are in here use the templates. This is the delivery. The front section is the feed, where the paper is unprinted and it comes out here printed and finished. After the jobs are printed, we have the staff and team here that will check and ensure that every sheet meets, the criteria that it has to. And then they're properly sorted and put together, for binding and finishing. After it is stapled, sorted, it's trimmed, and then it's checked again, and then it's sorted for packaging.
And digital technology, IT, it's the words that everybody is using. You're in printing.
Absolutely.
Do you feel threatened by this, or do you believe you will still stay constant and relevant?
Let me tell you, I'm driving up by Red Hills Road, and I'm saying to myself, this digital phobia. Everybody's saying, is printing going to survive? I just bought 2 newspapers. I can go online and read the newspaper, and I don't have to do a survey to convince anybody. Printing is here to stay, but I'm intimidated by high tech. I'm intimidated by things that interfere with the normal flow of communication and family life. Maybe because my grandchildren are here, and everybody has this iPad and this, what do they call it?
iPhone, BlackBerry.
And I'm saying, hey guys, hi grandpa, how you doing? And that's all I hear. I'm saying, what about the hug and the discussion, But I'm aware that ultimately and inevitably we have to do what we have to do.
Well, good thing you have Roger and Walter and everyone to take all of that from you.
Absolutely.
What we're doing is modernizing along with, is we're in a digital age. We just attended Drupa, which is the largest printer in the world. We saw the newer technologies where print is going. Print isn't just print anymore. So these newer technologies and techniques, that's really what we're doing to make ourselves different and to satisfy the needs. Yeah. Because every printed piece needs to communicate, and we're just allowing persons better options to communicate that much better.
Step by step, tell me some of the key moments where you really were challenged.
We're doing jobs that we have contracts doing for big companies. We couldn't get stock, we couldn't get money to pay for the stock. Payroll, we have never reneged on payroll as such, but it was that bad. The meltdown, financial meltdown, the gunmen, remember we had a spate of all kinds of happenings politically. As a matter of fact, I was shot. We had a spate of all kinds of happenings politically. As a matter of fact, I was shot.
And tell me, describe or paint the picture of that happening.
So I'm driving up Eastwood Park Road, and the congestion forced me to turn on Red Hills Road. So I'm going north on Red Hills Road towards Avondale, that's where I'm going. When I reached down by Sandy Gully Bridge, the car, which was serviced the day before, it's a BMW, started to give me a warning, amber alert. It's running warm, it's getting hot. So I pulled over right by Sandy Gully Bridge, right there, 2 wheels on the sidewalk, and I came out and it was boiling. So I'm there with my cell phone calling Roger. He said he's in the area. Hold on, soon come. I saw some guys around and everybody, Mr. Brown, some of them know me. Mr. Brown, you all right? I said, I'm fine, I'm good. But this particular fella came up to me and actually bounced me in the car. And I thought it hard, so I looked around and I saw him taking out a gun. So I immediately hit him with my elbow, and the gun went off and went through my hand. There was 3 of them. The other fella came up and put the gun in my hip and fired, so I got a shot through my hip. That one came out through my lower abdomen. And we started, it was a tug of war, 3 gunmen and Teddy Brown. I collapsed because of loss of blood. And the 3rd gunman fired again. And I turned around just in time, believe me, I'm not exaggerating. I saw the gun in my head about 5 feet. And I did something like this, and that shot went through.
The shoulder.
Went through my shoulder.
So you're shot 3 times.
Mm-hmm. And the long and short of it, I ended up in Kingston Public Hospital for 28 days with tubes all over me and machines breathing for me and all that sort of thing.
So you were completely...
Yes, I was incapacitated. I mean, I was almost dead. As a matter of fact, they had to revive me on the operating theater because of the heart failure.
And were you fearful for your family, and were you just considering completely closing the business at the time?
We almost contemplated migrating, and Roger was one of the ones who encouraged us to plow some money at that time. Never to leave or never to give up, never to call Jamaica done, finished. You have persons that they say, I will turn the lights out. I've heard that so often. Honestly, I will turn the lights out, I'm not leaving. And these are the people for Jamaica's survival. What is happening here is happening all over. It is happening. It does not give anybody any consolation or any right to determine where you want to live or how you want to live. But it is happening all over. And to some extent, we have decided that everything is a risk, but Jamaica is a fine place to be.
So we've been talking about Jamaica 50, and right now we're celebrating. Everybody's just looking forward to what Jamaica has in store for the next 50 years, and entrepreneurship is quite popular. Everybody's an entrepreneur, everybody owns their own business. What would you say to young entrepreneurs in Jamaica today so that they can really build our country for the next 50 years?
Firstly, love what you're going to do. If you're not in love with what you do and you cherish your career or your vocation, whatever you want to call it, love it first. And don't restrict yourself. Don't lock yourself in a box. It can be done. Get it done. You can do it. Lord knows, I did what I had to do, and it wasn't really hard. It was just a lot of work. And I'm encouraging all of you, everybody out there, please try. Don't give up. It's possible.
Define wealth for Teddy Brown.
Having an excess, whether money, love, or whatever, a wealth of wisdom. I think wealth is a package that allows you to be human, that allows you to be a child of the universe. You are no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal.
My pleasure.
Mr. Teddy Brown. I can't even call you Kenneth anymore.
No, Teddy Brown
Teddy.
is it.
Thanks for joining me on Wealth Magazine's Business Access. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure too, love. Bless you.
Don't go away. It's tips, and more tips from business execs at the Mona Business School Roundtable Forum. At the Mona Visitors Lodge, where the Mona School of Business, in association with the University of the West Indies, in partnership with Sandals Resorts International, presents the 2012 Roundtable under the theme Organizational Growth. Wealth Magazine's Business Access joins in on the discussion.
The theme, Organizational Growth, Securing the Present and the Future, is very relevant to addressing the business challenges that organizations currently face in a rapidly globalizing world. Globalization imposes, as we all are becoming increasingly aware, new demands on organizations and implies enormous challenges that they must address in order to survive. In a rapidly changing global environment, organizations are compelled to grow in order to effectively cope with change. Organizational growth must involve a renewal of leadership, a renewal of capacity, a retooling of operational infrastructure to incorporate new qualities and an enlarged capacity that will make the organization competitive.
Why establish an event such as this?
Well, we thought that we needed a forum in which thought leaders in the private sector, the public sector, academia, NGOs could come together to talk honestly about the state of affairs in the nation. One of the things that the Mona School of Business prides itself in doing is to ensure that the priorities of the nation are, deeply rooted in our scholarly pursuits, and so this is one of those activities that we thought would have been very, very useful.
I would like to see the Mona School of Business, probably in collaboration with the Faculty of Social Studies, to look into this matter of productivity. And I think one of the two areas that affects it a lot is how we approach as a people, our approach to work, what work means to us as a people, and also a critical area is the lack of respect for time. And if you look at countries like Germany and Japan, who go through devastating wars that brings them flat to the ground. And you see how they're able to grow and become economic powerhouses in a couple or 2 or 3 decades later. You have to look at what they're doing as a people. And when you see the level of productivity and their approach to work as a culture, you will then understand why they're able to compete and to grow as a nation on a sustainable basis. Just as a little experience, I mean, last week I had to go to a government agency to pay a fee. It opens at 8:30. I got there at 8:15. I was the first person in because I have to pay the fee and get back to my work and produce. And I sit down there, and the person who issues the receipts has not arrived. There are 3 other persons there sitting down, and I ask them, can anybody else, issue the receipt? No, that's the person. And I was there sitting down, and then there are more persons coming. There's an accumulation. And at 9:10, the person just comes strolling in, no problem. And there they are, just issuing the receipt. And I have lost 40 minutes of production, which could have generated more income, which could have generated more taxes, so we could have had more revenue in the government to do all the things that are highly required for us to do.
Employees have to know that they work on a time scale. If someone takes a lunch hour to go and pay a bill, for example, it's an hour. It's not an hour and 5 minutes. So someone is dependent on them to get back at a desk to get going. But if the place where they go to is not in tune with that hour, 2 hours later, they haven't returned back from work. So the productivity from that perspective is not going to be where you'd want it to be in a company or even in a country for that matter.
Productivity doesn't have a clock. Productivity is a commitment. It's a commitment to stay up all night, every night, and do whatever it takes to see to it that it gets done. It's not up, it's 5:30 and I need to go home and it's 6 o'clock. And I challenge anybody in this room. You find a successful company, and I guarantee you behind that company is blood, sweat and tears on many levels, right? And it's not just from the top. Oftentimes it's the line.
Stay with us. The best is yet to come from the Mona Business School Forum. We'll be right back after this break. The roundtable discussion was quite impactful today, and I think that if we can ride out on the motivation and all of the positive passion that we sense today, we can see some results for next year.
We believe that if you need therapy, then you have to be very, very honest about your condition. And so the roundtable provides us an opportunity to engage with all of those things.
When I look at the younger generation in Jamaica and why I love to do things like this, in particular, even though students aren't here, or many of them, the fear of failing. And when I look at our organization, I would say 1 in 5 things we've tried, we've failed. And Mr. Rain and I were speaking about that a while ago. It's okay to fail. It's not okay to not try. You have to try and get out there. And if you fail as a society, we have to say to people, it's okay. And don't make a big deal about it, right? At least say try. How many people break out and try things?
There's a problem where students who, when they've graduated, they sometimes dispense with the ideas that they've come up with because largely they prefer the security of a 9-to-5 than to go experiment with entrepreneurial ideas and so on. And perhaps some of that results from a lack of funding for these entrepreneurial endeavors. And so we're working on that. We're working with Corporate Jamaica and with the government to ensure that we can provide a supporting mechanism so that students may feel more comfortable to engage in these arrangements.
You have to create an environment for education and for learning in everything you do every day. You have to recognize the talent when it's there, constantly. Monthly recognition awards, certainly annual recognition awards. And we, in our company, we go crazy. We actually give our company aircraft to the #1 team member of the year, and they're allowed to fly it to any of our Caribbean islands. We pick them up in a limousine, we go to their house, and we make them feel like $1 million. And we're very privileged to be able to do that.
And that's our show. Visit our website at wealthmagja.com for more business topics, tips, and events. On behalf of the team, thanks for watching. See you next week.
You feel happy with that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you give me a look at the thing there, now we can talk. And
What happened to this one?
You want this?
The attitude.
Oh, you want all of that?
Yeah.
Come again.
Uncle wondering.
Come on. I am on. The one on the go about in the business.